Hi, Stan from Horn Photo. One of our favorite lines we've carried for many years here at Horn Photo is Tamron lenses. Tamron happens to be in their 70th anniversary. We're pretty proud of them, and we'd like to talk a little bit more about Tamron. I can talk forever and ever about it, but I realize I've got access to a much better, more professional, more knowledgeable man than myself, and that's Ben Hutchinson. So I'm going to ask Ben to tell you his 7 favorite lenses, and he's going to give you information about each one of them. So take it away, Ben. Here you go.
Hey, thanks, Stan. And hey, folks. I'm Ben Hutchinson with Tamron, and these are my top 7 favorite Tamron lenses. Without further ado, let's get into it. The camera and lens that I'm using right now is the Sony A73, a mirrorless full-frame camera with the Tamron 28-75. And let's face it, there is no topping this mid-range zoom lens. It's a constant 2-way. It was the most popular and best-selling lens in the world last year, and it is one of my go-to lenses for this setup, not only for the professional portrait work, but also as a walk-around lens. In addition to the ideal focal length range, this lens has an incredible bokeh at 75mm f2.8, which really comes in handy when you want to shorten your depth of field on a lot of that portrait work. With a minimal focus distance of 7.5 inches, this lens operates like a macro lens. So I can put this on my camera and use it anytime that I want to get in close and get gritty details of bugs or flowers or anything in the macro world. Next, we have one of the finest specimens in the Tamron line, and that is the 35mm f1.4. Forget everything you know about every other 35mm in the market. This one takes the cake. The proof is really in the pudding, and I would encourage you to check out the MTF charts on the Tamron website or chat with your photo experts there at Horn Photo. Whether you're going for immense details in your landscape photos, or you want to really utilize that creamy bokeh for a portrait shoot, you cannot go wrong with the 35 1.4. Just like any Canon or Nikon native lens, these lenses are going to work 100% with your Canon or Nikon DSLR, or with either of the new Canon Nikon mirrorless cameras as well. Next up, we've got the Tamron 35-150 zoom lens. Both the image quality and performance quality of this lens have absolutely blown me away. This lens was designed to be a portrait zoom lens, covering all of the favorite focal lengths of your average professional portrait photographer. It comes in native Canon and Nikon mounts, but works flawlessly on the Sony mirrorless system with an adapter, which is how I have used it most often. Next, we have the Tamron 85mm 1.8, lens that I absolutely rely on for all of my professional portrait work. The creamy bokeh and separation that this lens gives you is absolutely phenomenal. There is nary a portrait shoot that I do of any kind that does not begin with or feature this lens extensively. The Tamron 85 is one of the sharpest and brightest 85mm in the market, wide open at f1.8, and that's even up against some of these lenses that are f1.4. As with all of the Tamron lenses, this lens comes weather sealed with excellent build quality and stabilization built into the lens. In Tamron land, that stabilization is called VC, or vibration compensation, and it comes in really handy when you're working with a weightier lens like an 85 prime. It also makes this particular lens one of the only 85mm primes in the market with built-in stabilization. Next up is the Tamron 24-70. Chances are you've probably heard me talk about this one before, but in case you haven't heard that story 1,000 times, allow me to indulge you. One of the first zoom lenses I ever owned was the Tamron 24-70, and I got it at the time because every review and every store that I talked to said this is the best 24-70 in the market. This is the 24-70 G2, the updated second generation of this lens. With the G2, you get increased optical quality and 5 total stops of stabilization. It's just as sharp as any other 24-70 out there, and it won't hurt your wallet. It was the only zoom lens that I ever owned and made me a true believer of Tamron. Late last year, Tamron released a short lineup of compact prime lenses for the Sony mirrorless system. There was a 35mm, a 24mm, and a 20mm, all f2.8, and all with a 1:2 macro or half macro capability. So these lenses give you wide angle and macro capability all in one compact lens, which fits nicely inside any small camera bag, like my 8 case, which I bought from Horn Photo. It's 2020 still, and at one point this year, a lot of us were in quarantine. This actually gave me an opportunity to get out and hone my landscape photography skills in areas where there were no people. The 24mm also gives you a great wide-angle option if you're shooting with a mid-range zoom like Tamron's 28-75. And again, the versatility of this lens is one of its best features. Not only does it give me that wide angle and I can photograph the landscapes, I can also come in and get some macro shots. And last but not least, let's talk about the Tamron 28-200, an all-in-one lens for the Sony mirrorless system that starts at f2.8. This is the only all-in-one lens starting at f2.8 in the world right now. It has a lot of range and a really compact size, making it an ideal walk-around lens. I've found that the optical quality is near that of Tamron's other 2.8 lenses for Sony, like the 28-75 or the 17-28. I've been playing around with this lens a lot this summer and have been absolutely blown away by the quality of the photos that I'm taking. So if you're shooting Sony and you only want one lens, this is the guy to do it. And that's gonna do it. Those are my top 7 favorite Tamron lenses. I hope this was informative and encourage you to check out some of these lenses for yourself. Horn Photo has a wonderful rental program, so you can check in with them about that. Thanks for watching, and special thanks to our friends at Horn Photo for having me.